Have you ever spent way too much time drawing property lines, road edges, or survey boundaries manually in Civil 3D? Or maybe you've been using the regular AutoCAD Line command and wondered, why does Civil 3D have so many different line tools? Well, in this video, I'm going to answer that question. Today we're diving into one of the most important topics every Civil 3D user should master, the Civil 3D Line commands. These aren't just different ways to draw a line. They're specialized engineering tools designed specifically for surveyors, civil engineers, and CAD technicians. If you're working with survey points, legal descriptions, property boundaries, roadway design, or site development, these commands can save you hours every week. By the end of this tutorial, you'll know why Civil 3D Line commands are different from AutoCAD, when to use each coordinate-based command, how to create lines directly from survey points, how to create lines using coordinate values, and some professional tips that most beginners never learn. So, let's get started. Before we start drawing anything, let's answer an important question. Why not just use the regular AutoCAD Line command? After all, a line is a line, right? Well, not exactly. The regular AutoCAD Line command simply asks you for coordinates. You pick a point, then another point, and it creates a straight line. Civil 3D does something much smarter. Instead of asking only for X and Y coordinates, Civil 3D understands surveying terminology. For example, instead of typing random coordinates, you can create lines using point numbers, bearings, azimuths, northing and easting, latitude and longitude, station and offset. These are the same types of information engineers and surveyors use every single day. Civil 3D's specialized line commands let you create geometry using surveying workflows rather than generic Cartesian coordinates. That means less manual work, fewer mistakes, and much faster drafting. Another feature many people overlook is that you can switch between different line commands without exiting the current command. This makes creating complex geometry much more efficient. That may sound like a small feature, but during large subdivision or roadway projects, it saves a surprising amount of time. Today's tutorial focuses on the coordinate line commands. These commands create lines using existing survey data instead of manually picking every endpoint. They're especially useful when your drawing already contains Civil 3D points such as pavement shots, wetland boundaries, or topographic survey points. We'll look at create line, line by point number range, line by point object, line by point name, northing and easting, and latitude and longitude. Now let's begin with the simplest one. This first command is very straightforward. The create line command is actually the standard AutoCAD line command. It behaves the same as typing line on the command line. So why is it here? Because Civil 3D gives you one convenient location where you can access both standard drawing tools and Civil 3D specific line creation methods. Sometimes a simple line is all you need for conceptual layouts, sketches, construction details, or quick drafting, but when you're working with survey information, the next commands become much more powerful. Before we start, all the sample CAD files in this video can be found in the description box below, so you can practice with me. Now, one of my favorite commands. Imagine you receive a field survey. The survey crew has collected hundreds of points. Instead of zooming around the drawing, trying to snap from one point to another, you simply tell Civil 3D which point numbers you want connected. For example, type 3, press enter, then type 4, and press enter. Civil 3D immediately draws a line between them. Even better, you can enter a range like 3-7, then press enter. Civil 3D automatically connects those points in numerical order. That's incredibly fast. But here's an important warning. Point numbers aren't always collected in the order you want your final line work. For example, when surveying pavement, the crew often walks in a zigzag pattern if you simply connect points numerically. Your line may cross back and forth instead of following the edge of pavement. Fortunately, Civil 3D lets you enter a custom list of point numbers. For example, 2, 8-7, press Enter, then Escape. Then use the command once again by pressing Enter. Type 8-14, press Enter, and then Escape to get out the command. Now the software connects them in exactly the order you specify, making it ideal for irregular survey patterns. Note that whenever you're working with survey data, always verify the order of your point numbers before creating line work. Doing this can save a lot of cleanup later. The next command is create line by point object. Instead of typing point numbers, you simply click on an existing Civil 3D point. This behaves similarly to using the regular line command with a node object snap, but it is designed specifically for Civil 3D point objects. This method is perfect when you only need to connect a few points or when the point numbers aren't important. I use this frequently when reviewing survey data. It's fast, visual, and requires very little typing. Here's a command many beginners never use. Create line by point name. What's the difference between a point number and a point name? Point numbers are usually numerical. Point names can be descriptive. For example, 301, MH12, BM East Control A. Unlike descriptions, point names must be unique, and some survey instruments use names instead of numbers. This command lets you connect points by entering those names directly. If your survey department uses named control points, this command can save a tremendous amount of time. Now we're moving into coordinate-based drafting. Sometimes you don't have survey points. Instead, you have coordinate values, northing and easting. Civil 3D allows you to create lines directly from those coordinates. There's also a grid northing easting option, which requires an assigned coordinate system and is especially useful when working in state plane coordinate systems. Here's a simple example. Enter the first coordinate. Northing equals to 5,000 and easting equals to 10,000. Then enter the second with northing equals to 5,000 and easting to 12,000. Civil 3D instantly creates the line. This command is extremely useful for importing monument locations, boundary corners, construction control, or coordinate information supplied by surveyors. If you're working on infrastructure projects, you'll probably use this command quite often. The final command we'll cover today is create line by latitude and longitude instead of local engineering coordinates. This command uses geographic coordinates. It requires that your drawing already has an assigned coordinate system. Civil 3D converts the latitude and longitude values into the correct position within that coordinate system, making it useful for GPS-collected waypoints. This is especially useful when you're working with GPS equipment, environmental surveys, utility mapping, drone data, or GIS information, rather than manually converting coordinates. Civil 3D performs the transformation automatically. That's a huge time saver. Today we covered the foundation of Civil 3D line creation. We learned why Civil 3D line tools are better than standard AutoCAD lines, the create line command, line by point number range, line by point object, line by point name, northing and easting, latitude and longitude. These commands form the foundation for creating accurate engineering geometry that can later be used for parcels, alignments, and other Civil 3D objects. If you learned something new today, make sure to hit the like button because it really helps the channel. And if you're serious about mastering Civil 3D for engineering projects, consider subscribing because this is just part 1 of our complete Civil 3D line command series. In part 2, we'll cover the powerful direction-based commands including bearing, azimuth, angle, deflection, station offset, and side shot, the tools professional surveyors and civil engineers rely on every day. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to help. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next Civil 3D tutorial.